It's Thursday, the 18th of August, 2022. Welcome to the Fast Five by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
All right, Sean, 5 stories in 5 minutes. We've got some really interesting ones coming up a little bit later, including one about, of all things, the Tasmanian tiger. But first, story number 1, the federal government, the Reserve Bank, market economists, investors. It really seems like everyone has been waiting for a big jump in wages, but it hasn't arrived yet.
That's right. The June quarter wage price index from the Bureau of Statistics was released yesterday. It shows a rise of 0.7%, slightly lower than expectations, and wages growth for the year of 2.6%. Now, it is the highest annual wages growth rate in almost 8 years, and there's now been 3 consistent quarters of increases. But given the tight labour market, unemployment is at 3.5%. It's not that high a number, though it is hard to imagine that wages growth will remain that low for very long. In fact, you can already see signs that it is rising. If you look at private sector wage growth, including bonuses, payouts grew 3.3% throughout the year. Wage growth really matters because it feeds into price rises. Big wage hikes, which we haven't seen yet, add fuel to the inflation fire. But with close to 1 vacancy for every unemployed person and unemployment likely to fall further, wages will almost certainly rise faster than 2.6% in coming months. This is a good thing, of course. In cost of living terms, people at the moment are going backwards because inflation is so high. So we want higher wages, just not too much of a good thing.
All right, on to story number 2. And former Prime Minister Scott Morrison yesterday provided what you'd probably say is a spirited defence of his decision to be a co-minister in 5 portfolios, explaining that he didn't tell the relevant ministers in most cases because he was worried it would impact how they actually did their job.
He also said he acted lawfully and he won't quit politics, as has been suggested by some of his own party. He is certainly under fire. John Howard came out yesterday and said it wasn't advisable. Karen Andrews, his former Home Affairs Minister, said he should resign. That's from his own side. Of course, the other side of politics is going hammer and tong. Current Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said his predecessor had trashed the democratic system. He said he would receive considered legal advice from the Solicitor General on the actions on Monday.
All right, on to story number 3 now, and there's plenty of speculation, obviously, about what's happening in the property market. But this is a perspective that's worth listening to. The boss of listed property group Domain believes that the property FOMO of the last few years has come to an end.
And as a result, people in the market are more willing to wait and see rather than rush to purchase. Now, the comments came from Domain Chief Executive Jason Pellegrino. He said that the balance between supply and demand in real estate was being restored after years of excess buyers driving up prices. He forecasts that price declines will continue, but he's nowhere near as pessimistic as some market watchers, saying prices will stay above where they were before the pandemic.
Story number 4, Sean, is the one I mentioned a little bit earlier. The Tasmanian tiger could be reintroduced into the wild within a decade after a US biotechnology company said that it could recreate the animal.
It was declared extinct nearly 90 years ago after the last known tiger died in a Hobart Zoo in the mid-1930s. The carnivorous marsupial was wiped out by farmers and the government, really, notwithstanding quite a few unconfirmed sightings since then. Now, Colossal Biosciences in Dallas has been working with the University of Melbourne to recreate the genome of the thylacine, which is the tiger's proper name. The group are also working on a woolly mammoth. Anyway, the upshot of this is they reckon that they'll be able to recreate the Tasmanian tiger in coming years.
I don't know, Sean. I think the fact that there are 6 Jurassic Park movies all warning of the dangers of bringing back extinct animals means that we should probably tread a little bit carefully with this one, but we'll move on. Story number 5, our last one. We are all pretty familiar with the story of WeWork because I've had kind of podcasts and TV series, We Crashed. Anyway, the man who created WeWork, Adam Newman, is now back raising money to try and reinvent renting.
Yes, now Mr. Newman is a genius or a dolt, depending on who you're talking to. He did create WeWork, as you mentioned. At one time, that was valued at $47 billion. He left the company in 2019. It's now worth about $4 billion. He's now starting a company called Flow, focused on the residential property market. He's bought about 3,000 apartment units in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Atlanta, and Nashville, and wants to create a branded product across all those areas with consistent services and community features. He also wants to talk to other landlords and basically brand communities. So if you go to a Flow house to rent, you know exactly what you're getting, the services around the place, the community features. Really interesting, I think.
Yes, an interesting idea. There we go, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Thursday, the 18th of August, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough for you, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.